First here at 5 o'clock, a big announcement out of the Portland Police Bureau. This afternoon, the chief revealed he's bringing back the traffic division. Good evening, I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. The news comes more than 2 years after the traffic team was disbanded. Let's get right to Mike Benner in Southwest Portland. Mike, take us back a bit if you could. Remind us how we got here.
Yeah, David, it was February 2021, and individual precincts were struggling with staffing, so the chief made the difficult decision to disband the traffic unit and move those resources over to patrol. Well, now staffing numbers are back up, and the traffic unit is back. One advocate we spoke with applauds the move, but says human enforcement is just one piece to the safety puzzle.
As interim director of the nonprofit Oregon Walks, Zachary Lauritsen has one goal and one goal only.
Keeping people safe on our streets.
Lauritsen says it starts with good, solid infrastructure. Then, he says, comes the enforcement.
We think automated enforcement is the number one first step, so red light enforcement and speeding enforcement through cameras. And then we think that there is absolutely a role for human enforcement, too.
Important work we haven't seen much of since February 2021. When the Portland Police Bureau's traffic division was disbanded. But on Tuesday, Portland Police Chief Chuck Lavelle announced that he's bringing back the traffic detail.
It'll be limited, smaller than it was before, but we'll have 10 motorcycle officers, 2 officers in cars, and 2 sergeants on an afternoon shift.
They'll be in high crash areas of the city, looking for dangerous driving behaviors like speeding and driving while intoxicated, among other things. And it couldn't come at a better time. Last year, 68 people died in traffic-related crashes in Portland. 32 of them were pedestrians.
Now that 68 is a high since 1987, and that 32 pedestrian fatalities is a high since 1948. We all live, work, vacation, or commute in this city, and it's our responsibility to help make sure that your roadways are a little bit safer.
And if anybody appreciates that, it's Oregon Walk's interim director, Zachary Lauritsen, who's a firm believer that enforcement plays a pivotal role in safer streets.
There are people who do not follow the rules of the road at all. They're incredibly dangerous, and we need officers who are out there enforcing the rules of the road.
All right, it is worth mentioning with the Rose Festival right around the corner, even more officers will be added to this traffic detail before it's scaled back to what was announced today. Again, 14 officers working nights and early mornings to keep the streets safe. Back to you.
That's a big change. Mike Benner reporting now. In case in point, right now we're following the aftermath of a crash in Northeast Portland, where police say a pedestrian suffered life-threatening injuries. Details right now are limited, though authorities say the person was hit this afternoon at 15th and Broadway. The major crash team is investigating. We will update you when we learn more.
Turning to Portland's gun violence now, police have arrested a man accused of killing a young mother. Yesterday, officers and U.S. Marshals took 29-year-old Adam Jamal Burns into custody in Vancouver. They say back on April 15th, he shot and killed 28-year-old April Nicole Newcomb Kripe in the Reed neighborhood. She leaves behind a 6-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. Burns will remain in Washington until he's extradited to Oregon.
Developing this evening, a New York jury has found former President Donald Trump liable for sexually abusing writer E. Jean Carroll back in the 90s. The jury awarded her $5 million in damages for her battery and defamation claims. Carroll accused Trump of raping her in a Manhattan department store dressing room. According to the verdict sheet, the jurors in this civil case did not believe the balance of evidence showed proof of rape, but answered yes when it came to sexual abuse. Carroll issued a statement saying, quote, "The world finally knows the truth." Trump has denied all allegations and says he will appeal.
And more breaking news tonight in national politics. NBC News has learned the Justice Department is charging Republican Representative George Santos. That's according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. One of those sources says Santos could surrender at a federal courthouse in New York tomorrow and make his first court appearance in the afternoon. The first-term congressman has faced legal and political pressure to resign after he admitted to lying about parts of his background. He's also facing multiple investigations into his finances and other issues. No court documents associated with the pending charges are available yet. In our local politics, Oregon Senate Republicans walked out again today, bringing their walkout to 1 week. Without enough lawmakers present, the Senate can't reach a quorum and can't proceed on several key bills. Our Blair Best is in Salem for us. Blair, any idea how long this walkout's going to continue?
Laurel, Senate Republicans tell us this protest will continue until there are discussions or negotiations in place. Now, on the other hand, Democrats held a press conference today saying that they've reached out to the Republicans many times, asking to meet and urging them to come back to work. Now, today, inside the Senate chamber, signs of protest took center stage. Republicans are protesting what they believe to be a violation of Senate rules and Oregon's Constitution because Democrats are considering bills that weren't plainly worded. Now, Senate Democrats say there's more to it than that, given one of the bills in question is focused on abortion and gender-affirming care, and one Republicans openly opposed. The Republican walkout started a week ago after that bill passed the House.
The Senate should have spent the time debating and voting on bills that impact all Oregonians. And I'm disappointed that we're in this position today.
I really think we need to bring it back to what this is all about. We're here because we are doing the job of the people.
Now, Senate Republicans were unavailable to talk with KGW on camera today, but said in an email that they meet every day to determine whether the protest will continue or not. They believe Senate President Rob Wagner has led his party in, quote, abusing the process every step of the way, and that it would be a shame if he prevented them from doing the important work that still needs to be done this session. Now, Democrats are planning to meet with Republicans tomorrow morning, and we're also hearing talks of a rally scheduled for later this week here outside the Capitol, led by Basic Rights Oregon, all in response to this Republican walkout. David, Laurel.
All right, Blair, thanks. Appreciate that update. We've got some more news out of Salem as well. Governor Kotek says she will not appoint a replacement for Secretary of State until after the May 16th special election. That is next week. Shemia Fagan left office on Monday following controversy surrounding her side gig as a cannabis industry consultant. Deputy Secretary of State Cheryl Myers has taken over in an acting capacity. In a statement, the governor said in part, quote, I do not want to distract from the important work of the staff in the Secretary of State's office and the elections team who are working to ensure the election goes smoothly and without disruption.
Today, Washington Governor Jay Inslee signed a number of bills into law, including a couple surrounding marijuana and magic mushrooms. One is the cannabis usage bill. It makes it illegal for companies to discriminate against job applicants just because they test positive for THC. The other would create a pilot program to use psilocybin, also known as magic mushrooms, for medical treatment. The University of Washington will run it, and it is similar to the magic mushroom system Oregon is currently setting up.
Well, this evening on The Story, the team is taking a closer look at people struggling with mental health. Some of the most visible symptoms on our streets, hallucinations and a disconnect with reality. That all falls under the umbrella of psychosis.
Almost anyone can develop psychotic symptoms for a list of reasons. But because of these cause and effect relationships, addiction, homelessness, and psychotic symptoms often appear together, and they compound one another.
All right, some of those psychotic behaviors are caused by drugs like meth, but can also be genetics, brain development, and trauma. And yes, it can be a vicious cycle. This evening, you're going to meet a woman, a mother of two, who has been through that darkness and found her way out. Jen Kuhn lost her marriage, lost her job, nearly lost her 2 children because of substance abuse. She spent 4 years homeless, and then she reached a turning point. Now, some 6 years into recovery, working as a peer support specialist at Blanchet House, she is a living example of what's possible.
You can't learn it in a classroom. You can't read it in a book. You know, I've been there. I've done that, like literally. I've shot up heroin and I've eaten out of a garbage can.
And on the streets of Old Town, Jen tells me day in, day out, she offers connection, compassion, and most of all, hope. Her story coming up at 6 on The Story.
We look forward to that. In health news tonight, 1 in 8 women in the U.S. will develop breast cancer in their lifetime. And today, a panel of medical experts just updated their mammogram draft recommendations for women in hopes of earlier detection. But not everyone agrees with the changes, especially for women of color. Let's bring in Daisy Caballero, who's been digging into this for us today. So, Daisy, what changes did the task force make?
Well, Laurel, the U.S. Preventative Service Task Force initially said women should start screening for breast cancer every other year by the age of 50. They now have changed that to 40. But many radiologists say it should be way sooner.
The American College of Radiology, the Society of Breast Imaging, breast radiologists, we disagree with this draft recommendation. It doesn't do enough.
The panel on the United States Preventative Services Task Force has updated its recommendations for mammograms. They now say all women should get tested for breast cancer bi-yearly when they turn 40 instead of 50. But radiologists across the U.S. are speaking out saying these guidelines should go further.
The average woman, the 40 and every year is fine. But for some of the high-risk population, we recommend earlier screenings.
Dr. Destunes is a breast radiologist and says Black women are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than white women, citing Black women tend to have more aggressive cancers, less early-stage cancers, and more difficult cancers to detect.
So we do have minority women more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer, more likely to die of the breast cancer. When you look at Black women specifically, although we're finding breast cancer about the same rate as in white women, 42% more likely to die of their breast cancer.
The American College of Radiology released its mammogram guidelines last week, saying every woman should have a risk assessment by age 25, especially Black women. That way, doctors can dig into the woman's breast cancer family history and screen them more often.
You know, with a guideline like the USPS task force is saying 40 and every 2 years, I'm afraid that disparities between Black and white women are just going to increase.
Now, according to the National Cancer Institute, breast cancer among women 40 to 49 grew 2% per year from 2015 to 2019. Now, with this updated recommendation, the task force is hoping to prevent 1 breast cancer death for every 1,000 women.
Whatever age, so important, Daisy, to keep getting the word out. We appreciate it. You're